The premise of today's video is inspired by a comment I received a few videos ago. And if you have an idea for a video that you'd like me to make, please leave a comment down below, and it might just turn into a future episode. But the idea is, do you think that there's too many college graduates to match the good available jobs available in 2024? I found some articles that discuss this topic, and I can share with you my personal experience. So today we're going to get to the bottom of, is your college degree worthless? Let's discuss. Our first article is from Forbes, and the headline is, why is it so hard for recent college graduates to find a decent job? This article and everything else I'm discussing will be down the description below, so you can read the whole thing for yourself. The article goes on to say, young adults are having a challenging time finding good, well-paying jobs. The job market is extremely competitive as more and more Americans attain college degrees. Furthermore, employers are requiring unrealistic professional experience for entry-level positions, making it difficult for recent college graduates to compete in the job market. If you conduct a search for entry-level jobs on LinkedIn, you'll see job listings requiring 3 to 5 or more years of relevant experience. A 2023 college pulse survey by LendEDU found that less than half of all college graduates are confident about their career prospects after leaving campus. 2 in 5 recent graduates say their college degrees did not adequately teach them the skills to emotionally and mentally navigate a transition into the workforce. A separate survey by the Mary Christie Institute highlighted. A recent report by Intelligent, an online magazine dedicated to student life, revealed that 38% of employers avoid hiring recent college graduates. Around 58% of managers, directors, and executives in the United States say this cohort is unprepared for the workforce. According to the surveyed employers, young adults fail to hold eye contact during job interviews, have unrealistic salary expectations, dress inappropriately for the job interviews, refuse to turn their cameras on during virtual calls, and some recent grads even bring their parents to the interviews. Employers need to recognize that due to the pandemic, young people graduating from college had more than 2 years of disruption in their education as well as their social and professional development. Although young adults are contending with the after effects of a global pandemic, the unemployment rate for recent grads has been low compared to other demographics since 1990. But that gap has recently widened, the Washington Post reported. The disparity can be attributed partly to the effect that the sectors experiencing the talent shortages are not necessarily industries in which recent graduates desire to work. Meanwhile, hot sectors like tech are undergoing staggering layoffs. The number of young adults who are underemployed, working jobs below their skills or ability, increased to 40% in 2023, according to data from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And to me, this is not a new phenomenon. I graduated, like 15 years ago from college or something like that, and this is something that I even struggled with. It has seemed like for a long time, all these employers want is you to have a degree in general. Well, what's the point of that? Because I graduated with a double major in finance and real estate, but then I couldn't find a job that was not sales related in my local market. So that is why I got into tech. I didn't get into tech because it was glamorous, glorious, because it paid $500,000 a year. I simply got into tech because it was the only job I could get. And I was blessed and fortunate enough to make a decent salary from tech, but I had no idea it was going to be like that. It was just a matter of necessity. God willing, in 2024, where I have to make apparently a career pivot again because tech is absolutely dead in the water, I can find another or stumble upon another industry that pays really well that is just the only job that I can get. So hopefully history repeats itself. But if it doesn't matter what your degree is even in, why do you even have to have one? I mean, we've talked about before employers saying that it's hard to find qualified workers. Well, and that's because they just refuse to train anybody. I mean, what happened to having someone who had a good head on their shoulders, a good attitude, and knows the basic things about what needs to be happening in the job. And then from there, you just train them on the specifics and the ins and outs of the job and the industry that they're going to be working in. But according to the survey, things apparently are much, much worse for recent graduates. I mean, learning how to make eye contact is a very, very real thing. I know I was super uncomfortable with making eye contact until college, but I was able to join a business fraternity, and that allowed me to practice interviews and practice eye contact. But yeah, naturally, super not comfortable with eye contact. Bring your parents' interviews? I don't know. Hopefully that's just fake news, because that sounds ridiculous. And when it comes to unrealistic salary expectations, according to hiring managers, I guess everybody does. Even someone like myself, with 15 years experience, with bachelor's degrees, an MBA, with professional certifications, even I apparently have unrealistic salary expectations, even though I'm putting in to take a dramatic pay cut from where I was a couple of years ago. I mean, am I supposed to cut my salary in half to a third of what it once was? I mean, I'm seeing stories and reading comments from some of you that, yeah, you got to make maybe 30-40% of what you once did, and maybe work in a warehouse to get any kind of job. And then you want to hear that everything's going well, that the economy is doing fine. And it's like, well, if people can't even get a job making half of what they were making 2 years ago, that can't just be that employees are being greedy. That means that the economy is tanking and that corporate greed is taking over completely. And then as far as dressing inappropriately, last week I made a video about an Amazon recruiter who gave the advice that you just want to dress comfortably. You just want to wear what's going to make you feel confident, and that you don't have to worry about wearing a suit. Well, Forbes says that's a terrible idea, and I also agree with that. You don't have to dress up in a suit and tie every day of your professional career, but at least for an interview, look really, really good, right? Look presentable, at least a shirt and a tie, something. If they're following the advice of Amazon, then yeah, that's not a good idea to just show up casually for your interview. And as far as turning on your camera for virtual interviews, I mean, I've been in 2 or 3 different interviews where the hiring manager has pretended that they didn't know how to work their camera, or that they didn't know how to turn it on, or having issues with it. So we basically have to sit there with the camera on like an idiot while the hiring manager doesn't have it on. Or better yet, we have one of these interviews where it's completely one way, where they just have a question that is written down on the computer, and you have to just have a completely one-way interview, and there's not even a person at the other end at all. But I guess it doesn't go both ways. The number of young adults who are underemployed, working jobs below their skills or ability, increased to 40% in 2023, according to data from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Yeah, and I'd like to see what that number is for non-young adults, for people in the prime of their career, because this is what we talk about almost every single day. You can say that unemployment is under 4%, but that's a bunch of BS, and it's really misleading, because let's talk about underemployment. So if they can do the stats for underemployment of young people, I want to see the underemployment of the overall population of the USA, because it should be around there or even higher. Because with the amount of people who are working gigs or having to take pay cuts, I mean, if it was 50 or 60%, honestly, I would not be surprised. A Reddit post under the heading, "Why is it so hard to find an entry-level job?" reflected on a recent graduate's frustration with the job search, having applied to over 500 positions and receiving minimal responses. And yeah, personally, I applied to 2,100 jobs before I stopped counting and just got very, very discouraged. I mean, I treated it like a full-time job. I applied all day long, Monday through Friday, from January to the end of May, and I think I had 5 interviews, 2 which decided, I guess, to go in another direction and didn't feel like I had the experience needed, even though they had my resume in front of them. And then the other 3 just straight up ghosted me or said that the position was canceled or on hold. Not even that they were hiring someone else, just oh, well, I guess we were just doing this for funsies and we weren't ever really going to hire someone. The thread highlights the challenges of securing entry-level positions despite having a bachelor's degree. The user, who has dual degrees in economics and data analytics, wrote, "I don't have any professional work experience, but I have worked 3 to 4 service clerical-oriented jobs and have picked up many skills throughout my academia." And what happened to all the advice of just get an internship, just volunteer somewhere? This guy's got 2 degrees and it looks like he has a nice little internship and it's still not helping him. "I know I could fit in well in a professional setting, but I am unable to find that breakthrough opportunity. Not to sound arrogant, but why are employers turning down a bachelor's degree holder for a job that pays $30,000 a year?" And that's another thing. Why do we have to go out and dumb down our experience, or it just feels like the entire market is fighting for entry level jobs. So it's probably much harder for actual young adults to get entry level jobs because people in their mid-career are even having to go for these kind of positions because there's no good jobs available at an appropriate salary. So maybe I can get 2 or 3 gig work side hustles or just entry level jobs to finally make ends meet. He goes on to say, "Am I really that underqualified in the job market right now? I desperately would like to avoid going back to fast food services, but that's looking like my only option currently." But even fast food is not a given. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to just be a job, really, like someone's first job when they're 15, 16, 17, just to teach them the value of money and just to give them some spending change. But I mean, the last time you went into a fast food restaurant, didn't you see people in their 30s, 40s, retired people coming out to go do that? It used to be retired people were just greeters at Walmart or just something really easy, but now they're out there flipping burgers, dealing with people yelling at them that they forgot the pickles and all this kind of stuff. It used to be pretty given to be able to get a fast food job because who the heck wants that? And maybe nobody wants that still, but that's the only kind of job a lot of people can get. But at least with someone with 2 bachelor's degree and an internship is open to that, right? That's the key. At some point, slow money is better than no money, and you got to get a job doing something. The Redditor added that out of the more than 500 positions applied to, only 2 interviews were granted. Both times, the person was ghosted and didn't receive any responses or feedback as to why they were passed over. Yeah, and that's another thing. You're lucky if you get some kind of feedback. But in my personal experience, the feedback has only been, oh, well, the position's closed. We decided to go with someone in with different experience. They're not going to tell you exactly why, because then they open themselves up to being sued for discrimination. So they're not going to go and do that. But at least give you some kind of general vague feedback like I've been getting. Don't just completely ghost someone. I mean, I had an interview that I thought went really well. And then later I reached out to the hiring manager. Well, I had an interview that I thought went really well, but then I didn't hear anything back. And I looked on the website and the position was still listed. And then I went and reached out to the hiring manager again and said, "Hey, I haven't heard anything from you," and haven't heard anything back. And that was 2 months ago. The position is still listed, so it doesn't seem like they filled it by anybody. And I didn't hear anything back. And when I reached out to the hiring manager, crickets. So yeah, it seems like really, really disrespectful. I mean, maybe you can't message every single person who applies, but every single person who goes through the interview process should at least know where they stand and give them some kind of update and not just go full ghost mode on them. The Forbes article mentioned a study by Lend EDU, so I wanted to dive more into that for you. The headline is "Study: Students Lose Confidence in Career Outlooks as They Progress Through College." While the cost of college is disapproved by most, if not all, the purpose of higher education is an entirely different debate to grapple with. Is the point of college to experience new social setting and meet friends that will become companions for life? Or to push young students out of their comfort zone so that they can fully uncover who they are and what they want to do? More rigidly speaking, is the purpose of higher education in its name to become as educated as possible in a particular subject so a graduate can go on to pursue greatness in a specific field? Perhaps college is for establishing a network of connections so that getting hired after leaving campus is less challenging. Yeah, because if the idea is to just party and make friends and have a grand old time, you could do that for a lot less than $100,000. You could just go and get any kind of job and just maybe live downtown, get a couple of random roommates, and then just go out and enjoy your youth. But the point of college is not supposed to be that. The point of college is supposed to be you get a degree that gives you the opportunity to make a decent living for yourself. Because just to spend $100,000 in loans that you're never going to be able to get rid of, and then not being able to get a job at all, I mean, that's really, really messed up. I mean, that is not where we are supposed to be with college. Throughout all these proposed purposes, the common denominator is that those years in college, in one way or another, are meant to grow students so that by the time they receive their diplomas, they are more prepared to face the challenges of the real world than they were as freshmen. And according to a new College Pulse survey of 7,749 college students, LendEDU found that undergraduates do the exact opposite. As they move through college and get closer to graduating, they lose confidence in their career outlook. And I think part of that, and that's something I experience as well, is that you finally, as you get closer to graduating, come closer to reality. You are not prepared for the real world. And it serves as a buffer where you graduate high school, and all throughout maybe middle school and high school, people are like, what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go to college? Where are you gonna go to college? What do you want to be when you grow up? And no 18-year-old should ever have to answer that question. I mean, at 30, 40 years old, you might not know the answer to that question. But you go out and you go away to college, and then you're halfway through and you're lucky if you still have the same major, right? A lot of people switch majors, like, oh, I don't really want to do that. But it's like, they don't refund you if you decide to not finish that degree. They still fully charge you. And then you wind up in college 5 or 6 years because you didn't know exactly what you want to do. And then even if you keep with the same degree, as you get closer to actually graduating, you're like, I'm 3 years in, I'm about to have this degree, and the job market looks absolutely terrible. I have no idea who's gonna pay me to do any of these things I've learned, and maybe these things I've learned don't really help me at all. So yeah, I could easily see how you lose confidence the further along you go in college and the closer you get to the quote unquote real world. The article goes on to say, why might the data be behaving in this incredibly consistent way? And in this article, there's a bunch of tables and charts. If you're interested, you can go into the description and check those out. For starters, it is natural for undergraduates to become more insecure about their life after graduation as they evolve from freshmen to seniors. As the graduation countdown clock ticks closer to zero, students think more and more about the real world, and fear can kick in if the career map looks barren, which in this year it certainly does. But of course, this all derives from the underlying issue. Are colleges in the US doing enough to prepare their student bodies for the working world and not just focusing in on test scores and bell curves? How can colleges help fix the problem? What can higher education institutions spend more time on to make sure undergraduates, especially underclassmen, have confidence heading into life after college? There are a few things that immediately come to mind. First, more colleges and universities should have more frequent and mandatory courses that solely aim to prepare students for post-grad life. Curriculum should include work-related things like how to create a resume that will stand out and how to effectively network in your desired fields. Also, schools could have more frequently included internships and work-study programs into their coursework that simultaneously earn the student college credit and valuable experience. Second, in addition to more career-oriented coursework, higher education institutions should also provide similar resources that will help prepare students for the real world on a broader scale. Classes could include things like how to set a budget, how to file your taxes, how to properly use credit cards, and how to save money. I know the overall topic of this video is your college degree worthless? But now after reading this article, it's jogging a lot of memories, a lot of thoughts. And to me, the real question is your college experience worthless? Yeah, I mean, if you go to a party school, you're gonna meet friends, have a good time, sow your wild oats, all that kind of stuff. But like, what are you really getting out of college, especially for what you pay? I mean, we talk about the fact that a $7 Starbucks shouldn't be that much money if it's a to-go item. If you're not getting the experience of being able to sit down, chat with your friends, have nice music and just really enjoy the aura of the general location. So the same thing would go with college too, right? What is the point of paying such a high amount for college when they don't prepare you at all for the real world? And I think that it should be on colleges, right? There should be some kind of rules and some kind of structures about even the degree you can get. I mean, that's cute if you think you're going to be a lawyer and you get a political science degree. But if you don't finish through with that law school, what the heck are you going to do with a political science degree? Same thing with being a doctor. That's nice if you think you're going to be a heart surgeon, but if you don't, what are you going to do with a biology degree? I mean, the colleges are just like any other business. They're just interested in making as much money as humanly possible off of you and not really providing you with the skills and all the things that they're supposed to be doing. There's no courses or information on finances, how to keep a budget. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Most people get their first credit card in college, and that's not because, they're going to get reward points and cash back and help them travel in their gap year after college graduation. No, they're offered a free pizza. I've seen this countless times. Hey, get a free Papa John's pizza when you sign up for this credit card. Oh, okay. And people don't know the impact of what they're doing. And there may be a career center, but I don't think it is something that is well advertised and heavily promoted. It doesn't seem like the college's interest is in you even landing a job. And maybe that is the overall scam of college. It's like, well, you got a bachelor's degree and that's fine, but really now you need a master's degree. Oh, you got a master's degree, now you need a doctorate degree, right? It's to keep you coming back to college, taking more courses, investing more money without ever really giving you a good solution to get a high-paying job. All it does is get you further behind in life and more debt. I mean, yeah, they're not teaching you budgeting, financing, how to balance your checkbook, how to do taxes, and they're also not teaching you any of these job skills. And really the onus should be on these colleges. If someone wants to get a degree, I know that's not a real degree, but just follow me. If someone wants to get a degree in underwater basket weaving, they should be like, no, they should only have diplomas available for things that are actual real jobs and that are currently in demand. They shouldn't allow 17, 18-year-old kids to go and take 4 years on something that they're never going to get a good job in. Or at least fully explain what the limitations are. If you want to get a communications degree, okay, do you really want to be a news anchor? I mean, do you want to get a degree in journalism? Like, how many people get actual broadcasting jobs on TV? How many people actually are able to work for a major newspaper? Give them some statistics before they, officially enter college, right? So they know not just what they're going to be, quote unquote, learning for the next 4 to 6 years, but also what kind of degrees and what kind of jobs and what kind of career paths they're really going to have. Because I don't think you really get that at all. Maybe if you're in a really good high school, they can teach you that beforehand. But even when you get to college, you have orientation about what's going on. Well, hey, they should say, what degree are you picking? Okay, I'm going to pick this degree. All right, well, I don't know if that's a good idea because the job market's really tough for that, right? It's like just allowing people these days to go and get a computer science degree or some other kind of degree that's just purely in tech. Well, do you really know the ramifications of that? Do you really know the struggle of a lot of tech organizations that are laying off people left and right and not giving young graduates the opportunity to get a good job, right? I mean, just be honest. You're still going to get the money because parents will still force kids into college, but at least the student will come out in a positive light and have potential for their future coming out of college. Another survey that the Forbes article mentioned is from Intelligent, and it is headlined, "Nearly 4 in 10 employers avoid hiring recent college grads in favor of older workers." And the article goes on to say, earning an undergraduate degree is supposed to help young adults develop the skills needed for the workplace. However, according to a December 2023 survey by Intelligent.com, of 800 U.S. managers, directors, executives who are involved in hiring, recent Gen Z college graduates are struggling with many aspects of professional life, making them less desirable to hire. When asked if they avoid hiring recent college graduates for positions they're eligible for in favor of older candidates, 39% of employers say that they do. These employers are willing to implement a variety of different tactics to avoid working with recent college graduates, including offering more benefits to attract older workers, 60%, paying higher salaries to attract older workers, 59%, letting older employers work remotely or in a hybrid format, 48%, and being willing to hire an older employee who is overqualified for the position to avoid working with someone younger, 46%. And this is the same study that talked about the unprofessional behavior and some actual statistics behind that. 1 in 5 employers say that when it comes to job interviews, recent college graduates are unprepared. The biggest offense, according to 53% of employers, is that recent college graduates struggle with eye contact during interviews. Additionally, half of employers say that they ask for unreasonable compensation, and 40% say that they had candidates show up to their interviews dressed inappropriately. Regardless of whether interviews are online or in person, recent college graduates still seem to struggle with professional behavior. 21% of employers have had a candidate refuse to turn on their camera for a virtual interview, while 19% say they've had a recent college graduate bring a parent with them to their interview. So 19%, it wasn't just 1 or 2 people. 2 in 3 employers say recent college grads can't manage their workload. 63% of employers who've worked with recent college graduates say they frequently can't handle their workload. Additionally, 61% say that they are frequently late to work, 59% say they often miss deadlines and assignments, and 53% say that they are frequently late to meetings. When asked about recent college graduates' workplace behaviors and attitudes, 63% of employers say that recent college graduates are entitled. 58% of employers say that they get offended too easily. Other top complaints include lacking professionalism, 57%, not responding well to feedback, 55%, and having poor communication skills, 52%. Gen Z hires need a lot more mentoring. They may need very specific guidance about what to wear, how to write an appropriate business email, or how to speak up in a meeting. These individuals value training and connections with fellow employees. They really want to do a good job and be valued. They also care very much about the values of an organization and its leaders. So if companies want to attract the top talent, they should be prepared to talk about more than just the job and making money. And then, of course, we got to reach out to what the people are saying on Reddit. This is subreddit Find a Path, and the question is, are college degrees worthless? And one of the answers I really liked here was, I think that there are a few reasons for this. One is degree inflation. Having a degree used to make you kind of an elite group. That's why parents push their millennial kids into college so much. The problem is, when so many people have degrees, it drives the value of them down and makes them less impactful. Employers looking for other ways to filter out candidates. There's a reason people say that college degrees are the new high school diplomas now. Another reason is the job market. How do you know whether or not the job you want will be in demand after you graduate? Well, college should tell you. You don't. The world changes too fast. What's in demand when you're a college freshman might not be once you walk down the aisle of graduation. But they're right, 4 years is a very long time. You would have missed the boat, so no one is hiring in your field and you're forced to work somewhere else. And a third problem is experience-based. All the academic achievements in the world doesn't hold much of a light next to hard-won experience. Employers are going to look for experience every time. So you have newly minted grads who could probably do their jobs if given half a chance, but get passed over because they don't have any real-world experience yet. I stayed my welcome in college. I got 3 degrees, I did extracurricular work, I never got paid a dime for anything I learned. Maybe there are exceptions, but for the most part, I think going to college to secure a lucrative future for yourself is antiquated. It costs too much, it's a crapshoot, and no one has to employ you for having gone. It's not a contract, it's not a license, it's not a rank or noble title. It's a sheepskin. So what do you think? Is your college degree worthless? Maybe, is your college experience worthless? For me, I don't think my college experience was worthless. I have friends still to this day, 15 years later, who are very, very good, dear friends of mine. And the memories and the amount of fun we had is priceless. And I'm really glad that I went to college. Now, the degree itself, I mean, I guess it helped me get some kind of job, but it would be nice if I could actually get a job in the original degree that I got, and maybe 15 years later, the secondary career path I had to take because it was the only thing available maybe wouldn't have dried up. As the Redditor said, the world can change in 4 years. And for me, graduating with a financial degree was maybe a good idea when I started, but I graduated right into the great financial crisis of 2008. So is your college degree worthless? It just might be. Talk to you later.